Starfleet is known throughout the galaxy as the primary space-based naval force of the United Federation of Planets. The organization's history, ships, and officers are renowned or despised depending on who you are talking to. Many misconceptions and false assumptions exist regarding this organization, but no one, from the Klingon and Romulan empires to the Borg Collective, can deny the surprising results and tenacity with which Starfleet fulfills its many duties. Officially, the United Federation of Planets combined Starfleet, typically just referred to as Starfleet or the Fleet. Whether the long official name is used or its shorthand, Starfleet is an organization tasked with a dizzying multitude of roles by the Federation Charter. In no particular order, Starfleet serves as the primary space-based scientific, defensive, exploratory, diplomatic, law enforcement, and humanitarian relief organization within the United Federation of Planets. And while Federation member states may maintain their own scientific and military institutions, all pale in comparison with the size, sophistication, and capabilities of Starfleet. To accomplish its huge variety of tasks, Starfleet operates a massive number and variety of ships, many of them highly specialized to fulfill their roles, making them perfect for their designed tasks, but hopeless in most other roles. Starfleet is widely thought to field the most diverse fleet of any major power in the galaxy, for good reason. Founded in 2161 at the end of the Romulan Wars, a series of conflicts fought by many founding Federation members against a large-scale Romulan invasion of the region, and concurrently with the formation of the United Federation of Planets, Starfleet initially was comprised of vessels donated by the Federation member states, a majority of vessels being donated by the United Earth. However, it did not take long before purely in-house designed vessels began to enter service with the fleet. Over the next 50 years, Starfleet assisted in the Federation's expansion into unknown regions of space, peacefully exploring and making contact with many new worlds and new civilizations, expanding the limits of the known universe by several light-years each day at the height of exploration. First contact with the Klingon Empire in the 2210s put an end to this, as tensions quickly flared between the Federation and Empire, leading to increasing militarization between both sides. The Klingons even launching the 4 Years' War in the 2240s, making deep, penetrating offensives into Federation space before they were driven back by a combined Starfleet operation. Post-war, an arms race rapidly spiraled out of control, with the Romulans, Gorn, Zinti, and others joining the Klingons in opposing the Federation. Starfleet grew exponentially post-war, doubling in size between 2260 and 2270, even as it introduced many cutting-edge new starships into the fleet. The arms race would continue unabated until the Klingon moon Praxis exploded suddenly in 2293, leading to rapid rapprochement between the Klingons and Federation. The Khitomer Accords, signed in that year, specified a drawdown in both the Klingon Imperial Fleet and Starfleet alike to more manageable levels. The first half of the 24th century represented a golden age of peace and exploration for Starfleet. With no new major threats or hostile powers on the Federation's borders, Starfleet returned to a primarily scientific and diplomatic mindset, eschewing war as a primary function of the fleet. Nonetheless, Starfleet would engage in occasional, sporadic conflicts in the period, with the Tomid incident against the Romulans and later the border wars with the Cardassian Union in the 2340s and 50s being prominent examples. With the approach of the 2360s, Starfleet felt that the coming decade would be largely similar to the past half-century. With no new or existing threats on the horizon, and the Klingon Empire as a reliable ally, it was felt that peaceful exploration would continue well into the future. Sadly, though, this was not to be, as a new series of new and existing threats made themselves known in short order. With the Romulans and Cardassians rising in their actions against the Federation, the Klingon Empire enduring a civil war, and perhaps most threatening of all, first contact being made with the Borg Collective, and later the Dominion. Conflict with the Borg was fortunately confined to just a few engagements that, while horrendous in the scale of casualties Starfleet sustained, were won successfully. However, the Dominion War would set a much larger worry for Starfleet, with the Dominion War fought between 2373 and 2375 devastating the Alpha and Beta quadrants, following a series of lesser wars in the region, including a brief Federation-Klingon conflict. Starfleet would emerge from these wars scarred and forever changed, with many of those who had once considered war the final resort once all efforts at diplomacy had failed, now among the most hawkish officers in the fleet. While those who had continued to believe in peace and coexistence, having either resigned their commissions, unable to serve in an organization which had done what it needed to do in order to survive, and in their eyes betrayed the values of the Federation. The years following the war have seen Starfleet attempt to regain its footing in a rapidly changing galaxy. The destruction of Romulus in 2387 and devastating synth attack against Utopia Planitia in 2385 shaking the fleet to its core. Many long-term officers resigning from the fleet after this incident, and a new generation of officers taking their place. Starfleet now has an uncertain future in a changed Federation. At the top level of its organization, Starfleet is split into 3 commands: exploratory, tactical, and transport. Each branch is dedicated to fulfilling roles which are in line with their names. While most ships in Starfleet are capable of accomplishing all 3 roles to a greater or lesser degree, a large number of specialized vessels made to accomplish a specific task also exist. Starfleet is also broken down into several fleets, task forces, divisions, flotillas, and wings. Often based at one of many starbases spread throughout Federation space, these fleets are tasked with accomplishing specific missions, dependent on the area where they are deployed, such as the Second Fleet, which is historically deployed along the Romulan neutral zone, and Fifth Fleet, which patrols the Klingon border, and many others. However, other fleets may be tasked with less military roles, such as exploration, colonial support, development, and training of new recruits. Due to the vast diversity of species within the Federation, and their often wildly divergent biological needs, cultures, and traditions, Starfleet typically mans its vessels primarily with members of the same species. While some outliers do exist, this practice has seen great success over the years, and is continued even into the present, though experiments aboard the Luna-class USS Titan with a very diverse crew have seen impressive results. Starfleet is a capable and highly sophisticated organization with a long and rich history of scientific advancement, exploration, diplomacy, and military tradition. With such names as the Enterprise, Voyager, and others entering the public consciousness thanks to their amazing adventures and exploits. Throughout its history, the organization has proven more than up to any task given it, and despite rapidly altered circumstances since the Dominion War, the organization looks forward to the coming 25th century, ready for whatever may come.